Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to look at getting started with the Emperor's Children in Warhammer 40,000 using the 2025 Holiday Battle Force box set, the Blissbound Warband. In this video we'll give you a brief overview of who the Emperor's Children are, their basic army rules, and then look to use the box set as an initial starting point for our force. Throughout the video, we'll then look at other units to use and expand upon the initial box set, finishing off the video with a fleshed out 1000 point army list for you to use in your games of Warhammer 40,000. The Emperor's Children, also sometimes known after their fall as the Lords of Profligacy, are a traitor legion of the Chaos Space Marines who devote themselves solely to the service of the Chaos God Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure, though they were originally the Imperium of Man's proud 3rd Legion of the Space Marines. The Emperor's Children were the only one of the original first founding Legion Astartes to bear the Emperor's own name and his own icon, the Palatine Aquila, granted to them by his hand as a symbol of the Legion's martial perfection. Few were ever so honoured amongst the ancient Space Marine legions and given less cause to betray the master of mankind than the Emperor's Children. Given their plaudits and accolades accorded to them, few could doubt that this were the embodiment of what the Emperor had intended the Legion Astartes to be, noble in action and aspect, excelling in all matters, strong, civilized, firm of purpose, and loyal to the core. From this height they descended, though, into treachery to the lowest and vilest of creatures, enslaved to pride and consumed by hedonistic desires that no natural power could fulfill. The Emperor's Children are now a scattered legion, much like their counterparts in the World Eaters, their unity devoured by their allegiance to chaos. And so, before we go into looking at what is inside the initial box set, we are going to look at the Emperor's Children's Army Special Rules. And this, first of all, is the Thrill Seekers Special Rule, where if your army faction is Emperor's Children, this unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fall back. But when doing so, it cannot target a unit that is in engagement range of the start of at the turn, and it cannot target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge. So each unit has to go into a new target that's not already been the target of a charge when it does this ability. This does allow you a lot of different maneuverability around the table, able to sort of pick your battles when and where you want to, and not allow your opponent to dictate the flow of combats in the game. Now we do have a second ability for the Emperor's Children. This is the Pact of Excess, where when mustering your army, unless specifically stated otherwise, you cannot select Legions of Excess armies for your army faction. However, there are many ways within the sub-faction that will allow you to take the Demons of Slaanesh in your force. And so, leading this box set is none other than the Primarch of the Emperor's Children himself, Fulgrim. Fulgrim is a massive fighter for the army. He's the army's centerpiece, and he will provide you with a lot of combat potential. Now, you've got Toughness 11, a 2+ save, 16 wounds, and a 4-up invulnerable save, making this model extremely hard to remove, but he does also do a lot of damage in combat, and even a little bit at range as well with the Malefic Lash. A bunch of different abilities. First of all, you've got the Demonic Poisons, where in your shooting phase and the fight phase, after this model's finished making its attacks, it can potentially do some mortal damage to an enemy it has hurt. And at the start of your command phase as well, you do get to select one of the different abilities for the Demon Primarch of Slaanesh special rule. This could be something where each time a model in the unit makes an attack that targets a model, you could subtract one from the hit roll, you can gain 5 first, and while enemy units within 6 inch as well, they fall back, but they have to take a leadership test, and otherwise if they fail that, they have to remain stationary instead. Now, a couple of other rules for him as well. You do have Deep Strike, which is really nice, enabling you to keep this hard-hitting piece off the table at the beginning of the game and bring it in when and where you want it to go. You've also got the ability where it has to be your army's warlord. He is the Primarch, the main sort of character of the army in the story. And so after Fulgrim himself, we have probably the most iconic unit for the Emperor's Children in Warhammer 40,000, the Noise Marines. A ranged damage unit we have access to. They can be equipped with their own special unique weapons, the Sonic Blasters, which are an ignores cover weapon at range with damage 2, great at taking out enemy Space Marines and other tough-like vehicles and units, but also have access to a heavy weapon in the form of a Blastmaster, which can really help them get rid of some of the heavier opponents they'll face on the battlefield. Now you do have the terrifying crescendo ability, where in your shooting phase after this unit's shot, until the start of your next shooting phase, each time a battle shock test or leadership test is taken for the enemy unit, they will be subtracting 1 from the test. This is a cool ability because it means it can go in concert with something like Fulgrim's ability as well, remembering that, this would need to carry over, but you've got lots of different abilities you can sort of trigger off this, force your opponent to have to take those battle shock tests in other ways throughout your force. Now, where the Noise Marines are your ranged damage dealing unit, we have the Flawless Blades, an elite combat unit for the Emperor's Children. Flawless Blades do have invulnerable save in combat, which is really nice, as they do have the grenade stratagem, enabling them to maybe hit some harder targets, and the Demonic Patron special rule can help them out, where each time this unit selected a fight, they can call upon these patrons, and if they do so until the end of phase, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, a modified wound rolls a 3+ score a critical wound. However, at the end of the fight phase, if this unit called upon the Demonic Patrons and no enemy models were slain, then one model in this unit is destroyed instead. This is a pretty cool ability and does require you to get those critical hits off, but with a 3+, you're likely to get these through even against some of the tougher opponents. Your strength of 6 is nice, but this will allow you to take on some of the bigger things in the game as well, as you will be getting those wounds automatically on that 3+. And so where to go next after that initial box set? And the first thing we're going to look at is bringing another character into the force, the Lord Cacophonist. Now the Lord Cacophonist is a unit we can use to boost up the power of our ranged damage units. It's able to join either Chaos Terminators or, more importantly for us, Noise Marines. Now we have the special rule here where his obsessive annotation rule will mean while he's leading a unit, give sustained hits 1 to the unit he joins. This is particularly good when we've got all those ignores, couple weapons, and already a heavy rate of firepower coming out of the Noise Marines. The Doom Siren ability this model has also forces battle shock tests, so another thing that can help sort of mingle and work together nicely with the Noise Marines, with the fact that they can have the battle shock tests sort of forced at that negative. We've also got the ability to do some mortals with this as well. Weapon wise, this model is armed with its own Screamer pistol, a short range version of the rest of the Noise Marines, and can have a power weapon in there as well to give you a little bit of an extra combat punch for your unit should anyone charge your Noise Marines. After that, we'll look to bring in some more troops to the force, and this is in the form of our first battle line unit, the Tormentors. Tormentors are essentially a Chaos Space Marine Legionnaire, a Space Marine Tactical Squad equivalent sort of unit. They are armed with some special weapons. They've got the Sergeant, able to be equipped with pistol and close combat weapon options as well. And they can also take a Icon of Excess, which is going to allow them at the end of the shooting phase or the fight phase, if the bearer's unit destroyed one or more units, they can potentially gain you a command point. Now, objective to field is their big special rule, where at the end of your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, it will remain under your control until your opponent takes it off you. This is incredibly good because it can be combined with the fact they have the Infiltrator special rule, allowing them to deploy up on the battlefield in the mid-board and control objectives from the early game onwards. The fact they've got a decent variety of different shooting options as well does mean they can be quite a threat to anyone that tries to take them off. Any fast moving early forward force points of your opponent's army will be facing a decent wall of fire and a little bit of combat potential in them as well, thanks to the Sergeant. And lastly, to add to the force, we are going to look to bring a Mauler Fiend in. This Chaos Demon engine is going to provide us with some really heavy hitting close combat potential, but a big reason we are going to bring it in is it's going to provide an option to do some decent damage against your opponent other than just Fulgrim. It's going to force your opponent to either have to focus on one of the two threats or split their fire between the two threats, which is probably the more preferable option for you, the player of the Emperor's Children, meaning your opponent won't take out either and they'll both still get into combat and able to deal some damage. Mauler Fiends have their Lasher Tendrils in combat to go with the Mauler Fiend Fists that can really hit some punch and will punch through enemy vehicles with ease. Their Melter weapons at short range at 6 inch but can do some decent damage as well. And the Glutton for Punishment special rule means each time this model makes an attack, if it's below starting strength, it adds +1 to hit, but if it's below half strength, it also gets +1 to wounds as well, meaning the more your opponent actually damages this, the more deadly this model will become. And so moving on to our list today, and we are going to have the Slanashers chosen as the detachment we've gone for. This gives us internal rivalries where Emperor's Children character units from your army can ignore any and all modifiers to their move and any and all modifiers to their advance and charge rolls. This is particularly good when we do have someone like Fulgrim in the force. This stops our opponent being able to retract any movement and put any penalties there on charges and such on that model. Now at the start of the battle, your Warlord's unit in your army's favourite champions, the first time in each player's turn that an Emperor's Children character unit from your army destroys an enemy unit after resolving all its attack, that character becomes your army's new favourite champion, replacing the old, and each time a model in your army's favoured champion's unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the wound roll. This is pretty good because you can sort of play this off one against the other on how you want these abilities to stack on your different forces. You can shoot a unit off with the Noise Marines with a Cacophonist joining them and get this on them, or have Fulgrim go in, take out an easy unit with his combat attacks and then get this ability on him. And so to begin with for our force in Epic Heroes, we then have Fulgrim, who's going to be our army's warlord. While for other characters we then have our Lord Cacophonist, who's going to have a power sword. Well, moving on to the first of our troops, we have a unit of 5 Tormentors. The Obsessionist has a Plasma Pistol and a Rapture Lash there as their weapons, while for the unit we've got a Tormentor with Icon of Excess and a Tormentor with Plasma Gun. Other infantry, we then have our unit of Flawless Blades with 6 models in the unit, and a unit of Noise Marines with 6 models in it, the Disharmonist with Screamer Pistol and Power Sword, and a Noise Marine equipped with Blastmaster. Well, lastly, for the force, we then have our Mauler Fiend with the Lasher Tendrils. We hope that you found this video helpful in getting you started with Warhammer 40,000, and that it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any further questions, please comment down below, and while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and join our Discord server to check out all of our future Warhammer 40,000 content.